Very good evening to you. Thank you for your company. Wow, what a day in British politics and indeed, I guess, international politics as well. Now, look, these are my thoughts on this whole charade. He doesn't need my advice, but Donald Trump should wash his hands of Elon Musk after his attack on Nigel Farage today. Trump's first White House term from 2016 was beset by deep state agitators and backstabbers. He'll know this already. He doesn't need me to tell him. But he should be wary that he doesn't repeat the same mistake again this time round, and I'll explain why. Firstly, as a reminder, here's that tweet from Elon Musk today that almost broke the internet. He said, "The Reform Party needs a new leader. Farage doesn't have what it takes." He then went on to suggest he'd like to see Reform MP Rupert Lowe take over. Now, Elon might be frequent present at Mar-a-Lago and have Donald Trump's ear for now, but let's be frank, he was a late boarder of the Trump train and only jumped on the Make America Great Again bandwagon when it was clear Donald was going to win the election. He calls himself MAGA, but unlike Nigel Farage, who's been supporting Donald Trump since the very beginning of his political journey in 2016, Elon said at the time, "I feel a bit stronger that Donald Trump is not the right guy. He doesn't seem to have the sort of character that reflects well on the United States." And it goes on. A year later, Trump recruited Elon to serve on 2 presidential councils, but Elon soon quit after Trump withdrew from the Paris Climate Accord. Elon tweeted at the time, "I'm departing presidential councils. Climate change is real. Leaving Paris is not good for America or the world." So he's a climate fanatic also. And in 2022, Musk was encouraging Trump to hang up his boots and quit politics. He said, "I don't hate the man, but it's time for Trump to hang up his hat and sail into the sunset. Democrats, should also call off the attack. Don't make it so that Trump's only way to survive is to regain the presidency." Even in March 2024, when it was clear to every man and his dog, let's be honest, that Trump would win the election, Elon still announced on X that he wouldn't endorse a political candidate. It was only in July that year, when Trump narrowly avoided being assassinated, that Elon committed to backing him. Can I just say, for me, that's not a very brave or bold decision to make. Finally backing a candidate 5 months before an election that's already looking nailed on, isn't that shrewd? You had a bloke who'd just taken a bullet and got up on his feet and declared, "Fight, fight, fight." This picture here proving one of the most iconic in US history. He was running against, firstly, a guy who couldn't string a sentence together, and then lastly, a cackling BLM supporter who was worse than the first guy. It was obvious by that point who was going to win. Anyway, the reason for this brief look back in time is that Elon's involvement in British politics today, in my opinion, shouldn't be taken too seriously. He threw Donald Trump a couple $100 million for the campaign very, very late in the day, and suddenly everybody thinks he's a political genius. Nigel Farage, meanwhile, he was supporting Trump when it was horribly unfashionable to do so, all the way back in 2016. Even through all the pussy-grabbing saga, Farage was the man to stick his head above the parapet and give some sensible context to what was going on. Farage also won multiple national elections in Britain with 2 different parties, the only person to do so. And the crux of all this is that I'd wager Nigel Farage knows best when it comes to his continual distancing of Tommy Robinson, which has only come, by the way, when he's been asked by journalists. And that's what this disagreement is all about. Donald Trump's administration hasn't even started yet, but I don't think it will be long before Elon Musk is no longer a part of it. Well, I'm joined now by Reform UK spokesperson Anne Widdecombe for her thoughts on this. Anne, good evening. Thank you for your company. A rather bombshell day in politics and, of course, for the centre-right. First of all, can I ask, have you spoken to Nigel Farage or anybody else in the party about this?
No, I haven't spoken to anybody about it. Of course, Nigel Farage has himself responded. I don't think we should make too much of this. I mean, it seems to me that Elon Musk is a man who speaks first or tweets first and thinks afterwards. And I think that is probably what is happening here now. To say that Farage hasn't got what it takes when Farage single-handedly and without even being in Parliament managed to get us out of the EU, when he's drawn a fledgling party until it's only a couple of percentage points behind the main parties. When he's done all of that, nobody can say that he hasn't got what it takes. He's the only one who has got what it takes. And Elon Musk is interfering in things he knows nothing about.
Well, Elon Musk's father was on GB News today, Anne, saying that he thinks Tommy Robinson should be the next Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. This whole thing is about Tommy Robinson. Musk, of course, has been calling him a political prisoner, and it was Nigel who spoke to GB News yesterday, who said, look, when I see Elon at the inauguration in January in a few weeks' time, I'll just explain to him the reason Tommy's in prison for contempt of court. He disagrees that he's a political prisoner. What's your thoughts on Musk's support of Tommy Robinson?
Well, I don't understand it, and it seems to me to be positively ignorant. But Nigel is approaching this in a very relaxed fashion, says he'll explain it all to him when he next sees him. But as far as I'm concerned, reform is not somewhere where we want Tommy Robinson, and Nigel has taken exactly the right line on this. And I'm glad that he's sticking to it. Elon Musk just does not know what he is talking about. There is no way that Tommy Robinson is a political prisoner. He broke the law.
Well, his supporters would argue that it was the Attorney General who made a decision to get involved in that contempt case. It was a civil case, and he ended up doing time for it, and he's apparently in solitary confinement as a result. However, I think it's a bit of a red herring because apparently the guy doesn't want to join Reform anyway. I think their argument is that they just think that Reform and the likes of Nigel Farage shouldn't be so disparaging when he's asked about them. But in Nigel's defence, it's journalists that are asking him, and he's only giving an honest answer. Can I just ask you finally, Anne, about Elon Musk and his involvement in British politics? Of course, he's been attacking Keir Starmer and Labour as well. Do you think foreign nationals, and this also goes for the likes of people of yesteryear, the likes of George Soros and so on, Bill Gates, do you think we should have foreign nationals involved in politics in the way we do?
Well, the fact is that the Labour Party sent quite a contingent over to campaign for Kamala Harris not so very long ago. Countries do get, or politicians get involved in each other's countries when they have some sort of similar worldview. So I don't think there's anything particularly sinister about that. But I do think that if they're going to pontificate on other countries, they do need to know what they're talking about. Elon Musk patently, obviously, doesn't. Now, Nigel would never put it that bluntly. He will try to keep Elon on side, but I'm putting it bluntly. The man has no clue what he's talking about.
Donald Trump is quite a big guy on loyalty. As I said in my intro just then, Nigel's been there since 2016.
Yeah.
Do you think Trump will ditch Musk off the back of this?
I don't know what Trump will do, and I don't think speculation's helpful. I think Nigel will try to stay friends with both of them, but of course he has been remarkably loyal to Trump. Trump likes loyalty.
Yeah. OK, Anne Widdecombe, thank you for your company. Happy New Year to you. I should just include Nigel Farage's response to Elon Musk's tweet as well. He said, well, this is a surprise. Elon is a remarkable individual, but on this, I'm afraid, I disagree. It's on your screen now. My view remains that Tommy Robinson is not right for reform, and I never sell out on my principles. Well, look, let's get the thoughts now of my panel tonight. Head of Communications at Popular Conservatism, Annunziata Rees-Mogg, Conservative peer and former advisor to Boris Johnson, Lord Colville Ranger, and the former Labour advisor, Paul Richards. Good evening, panel.
Good evening.
Welcome along. What a day. What a day for news, for politics, for drama. It's like a real-life episode of EastEnders. I love it. I'm here for it.
The doofs.
Yes, it's great. Annunziata, what's your take on what's happened today? I mean, there's so much going on, so many angles. What's your take?
Well, I think Elon has done the most amazing job of proving that the news agenda is set by Twitter.
Yeah.
Because everyone in the political world, in the UK, and I suspect to some extent in America, has been talking about one tweet with, 20 words. It's quite an achievement, even if he does own it. I think this is either a confectured row, because I think there is such an upside for Nigel Farage in this, that he can come across as the moderate who doesn't want to attract someone with the reputation of Tommy Robinson, and whatever your personal view on him, he certainly comes with an awful lot of baggage that puts off a lot of voters. And I think Nigel can play the middleman of I'm the reasonable, I'm not being bought by the billionaire, I will stand up for what I believe in.
Can I just push back on that slightly? So I don't want to talk about Tommy Robinson too much. I think it's a bit of a red herring because he doesn't want to join Reform anyway. But his supporters would say Nigel needs to adopt the same sort of I don't care attitude as Donald Trump. He's an outsider. They accuse him of wanting to be part of the establishment, part of the club still, whilst pretending they accuse him of being anti-establishment. And they're saying that if he wants to rid himself of that reputation, he needs to not welcome him in the party, but at least stop putting him down when he's been asked by journalists?
He has been asked, and he's had the same answer for well over a decade.
Yeah.
That I think he's been very consistent on this, that Tommy Robinson has been to prison lots of times. Nigel has said he's not welcome, he's not the right sort of person for the Reform Party, and he's taken a lot of flack for that.
Yeah. OK, Culver, your thoughts?
Well, we're all living in Elon's world at the moment, aren't we? It's amazing. Look,
Isn't it fun as well?
Well, there's two sides to this for me. Look, I'm a fan of Elon Musk, of his innovation, his approach. He's a disruptor. I use PayPal. I drive a Tesla. I like what he's done in terms of driving business and ideas forward. But he's no politician, and we all sort of knew that. We're just seeing more of it now. What the challenge for what Elon Musk is about is that he's trying to place bets. That's what really astute, data-savvy, mega billionaires do. He's placing bets all over the place about where he's going to be powerful and who he wants to align himself with. As you said in your monologue, quite rightly, he joined the Trump train at the late stage when it looked like it was going to win anyway.
Very late in the game.
There was no battle with Harris and Trump. So what we've got here is someone who's trying to place bets. He's interfering in German politics at the moment. He's written an op-ed there. He's supporting the AfD, who are seen as an extremely far-right party there. They're classified as extremists and monitored by the security services, but he's supporting them there. He's been very vocal there. So this is a play by him across the piece. And to him, he's looking at pieces on a chessboard. We have to understand his mindset. This is not a serious politician. He's looking at it as a deal, a trade, and he wants to get something. He wants to influence. He's looking at things like, where does this go in terms of money to support his space programs, his ambition to get settlements on Mars. He's talked about governance models on Mars.
Yep.
The guy is thinking like this because he can, because he has the money. But the money is insulating him from some of the strange approach to things that he's having.
Let me just bring Paul in. Paul, your thoughts? What's Keir Starmer going to be thinking tonight?
Well, I can tell you the Labour Party's view on this is that we're getting the popcorn in and watching the centre-right implode and fight each other, which is great entertainment, but it's not good for our democracy. And the more important and more serious point is that the ones that you were making there with Anne Widdecombe about interference in our political system, because he's not just coming over here and knocking on a few doors and handing out some leaflets. He's actually, Elon Musk is trying to influence democratic decisions taken in this country and other countries, like Gulveer says, in ways that are quite damaging to our democratic culture and traditions. His statements are half-witted. The things that he says are just wrong. You know, they said the idea that the king should dissolve Parliament, the idea that, you know, these sort of bizarre statements.
I guess technically he could if he wanted to.
Well, it hasn't happened, I don't think, since 1760, so it's unlikely, let's face it. But it's a weird thing to say out loud. And this fallout is a part of a much bigger picture of these sort of sporadic statements that don't stack up at all and yet skew the news agenda off for hours and days at a time.
It's just... last word to you.
I think it's funny that the left might object to foreign intervention in our democratic process when we had Obama telling us to vote Remain in the Brexit debate. And that was thoroughly supported.
He didn't give 100 million quid and turn up, though, did he?
But George Soros gave around 400 to the Remain campaign. Keir Starmer took $4.5 million from another South African businessman before the election. They also took another $4 million.
Well, that's why we need caps. We need election caps on foreign. Absolutely. We need caps on the spending and donations.
Elon is fundamentally a disruptor. He will probably disrupt Trump. He's disrupting British politics as we speak. But it is up to Trump to decide what his spokesman can say. I
think Elon is finished. Actually, bookmark this segment on the show. Retweet it in a couple of weeks' time, maybe a few months' time. It will take. I think he's finished. Donald Trump is big on loyalty. Nigel has been there. Nigel Farage has been there since the start. And as I said to Elon, I admire him in a lot of aspects. Tesla, SpaceX, everything else, everything he's doing for free speech. But he joins the MAGA train almost at the very last minute. And just because he lumped him a couple of $100 million for the campaign, which is peanuts to him, that doesn't make him a MAGA loyalist. And I don't think Trump will like what's happened today, if you ask me. Just my opinion. I don't know. I haven't heard anything. But I think if you keep your eyes peeled in a few months, I think Elon will be out the door, to be quite frank.